This is my view of the definition of a democratic society as opposed to a republic society. Okay, so you have two neighbors. One neighbor's a Democrat, the other neighbor's a Republic. And I'm not saying Republican because I don't think that relates to republic, which in my views is a libertarian. But here's my my definition and my understanding of what a Democrat is. Okay, so you have two neighbors living next to each other. One of them trusts the Lord, one of them trusts God, and he lives within his means. The Democrat, on the other hand, he does not live within his means. Nor does he trust God, but he trusts his neighbor. He acts like his neighbor is his God. So what does he do? When he finds himself in need, rather than asking God for help, he goes to his neighbor. Say he needs a cup of sugar. So he goes to his neighbor and he says, "Hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar?" And the guy says, "All right, here you go. Here's a cup of sugar." So the guy, the Democrat, throughout his life, has this habit of going to his neighbor and borrowing a cup of sugar. Pretty soon, the guy who trusts God gets a little uptight and he's a little annoyed because this guy just keeps coming over and wanting him to be his God and his provider. So he gets a little angry. One day the Democrat comes over to the libertarian's house and says, "Can I get a cup of sugar?" And the guy says, "Man, why don't you trust God? You know, I can't be your God and I can't always provide for you." So the Democrat, he walks away bummed out because his God now let him down. And so now he's left to himself to think about what is he going to do now. So he goes over to his other neighbor and he's complaining, "I just don't have any sugar. I don't have any sugar." So the guy says, "Hey, I know. Let's create a government. And we'll have everybody pitch in and we will provide you that sugar for you." So they say, okay. So they create this government, and a lot of people are, they're too busy, so they allow this government to reign over them, while the libertarian's a little bit upset. He's trying to make do with, them robbing him of his taxes. Now he's got to pay taxes to pay for this guy, so the government can provide him with that cup of sugar because his neighbor doesn't want to be the God. So pretty soon this system of government begins to tax too many people because everybody cannot get enough sugar from the government. And so, since they can't suck enough money and rob enough people to give this guy his cup of sugar, they have to borrow from a bank. That's where the Federal Reserve comes in. The Federal Reserve says, "Okay, I'll lend you some money so you can give that guy his cup of sugar because he can't trust God. But you're going to have to give us your kids as collateral to pay back this borrowing because we know you're not capable of borrowing it because you can't suck enough out of the taxpayer." So the government, the Democrats, they go, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll just give you our kids as collateral. Here's a social security card with his image. And when he contracts with it, that'll be the payment for the fake money that we're going to borrow from the Federal Reserve to make sure that the Democrat gets his cup of sugar." So that's how America has ended up, and that is why the Federal Reserve controls this nation, because we depend on them to give Democrats their cup of sugar.